Holy smokes. I had to start deleting people off of my Facebook because of some of the stuff that was coming out of that deal.
6:30, we call PublicWorks Committee meeting to order. So the record indicates we have a quorum. We're in compliance with the open meetings law. The agenda is set. Public comment. Is there any
Buckets. Who is this?
Ellen, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Thank you. Number 5, minutes of the previous meeting of 9/9/20.
And Chairman, this
Motion to approve.
hang on, Chairman. I think I was here too, wasn't I? For this? Okay. A sec. You got a motion from Helen?
Yep.
Approve as presented. I'll second that.
A motion by Ms. Dennis, second by Mr. Schuman to approve Public Works Committee meeting from 9/9/20. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, 2021 budget discussion, airport maintenance, 21 budget summary.
Yeah, so we did include just the summary sheets for those departments under the purview of this committee. So each department, you can see the revenues and expenditure totals. Got the prior year, the 2020 budget amount, the actual amount to date, and then the 2021 administrator budget. So that's the budget that we have been preparing. And then as we get into the county board meeting on next Thursday, I will present that budget in total to the county board and turn it over to the county board for further deliberation, public hearing, and adoption of some sort in November. So there hasn't been any changes to these department budgets since the last time we talked, I believe. But as each department director gives their report, if they had any other special comments to make, we can entertain those from the directors as well. Unless you have any other questions for me currently.
Hearing none, no. Thank you. So we'll move on to number 7. Airport report. There, anything you want to point out?
I know we discussed it last month. We were talking about brushing a little bit. Well, it's not a very exciting topic, but we're able to get a lot of that done. I went down to M&M Rental and rented a tractor for $900. And working with Tim, John Frank went out there. I think he put 34 hours on tractor. And we brushed somewhere between 45 and 55 acres. Pretty much everything that we could get to that's upland, we were able to brush down. So it gets us in really good shape going into trying to put a bid together for this winter. I'm not sure what the numbers are, what money that's left over on the brushing budget in 2020. Maybe opportunity to rent a machine again if we have very favorable conditions in December. I don't know what, if it's 30 below, you don't want to be sitting outside on a seat of a tractor. But in those types of conditions, you can get out and do some brushing. That might be an option. I know John expressed interest possibly in helping us out then as well. So we'll see if we can get lucky. Otherwise, try to put a bid together to hop on with 2021 right away. So that's going to be the next couple months putting that together. It's under $30,000, so I think we just need to get three people to buy in on the idea of giving us a piece of paper that has a quote together for what we want to do or how we orchestrate it, but we don't actually have to put it out in the paper for the bidding process, I believe.
How many acres would you say it need to be brushed? Ballpark?
Well, it's the heavy stuff I want to get done this year. It might only be 15. But we need a forestry mulcher. It's a rotary cutter on the back of the tractor ain't gonna do it. So we have to have a specialized piece of equipment, and if the last bids that we got for our last bidding project is indicative of any way of what those things are going for, we might only be able to tackle a small area of the money that we have budgeted. But Tim and I will be very aggressive with picking the best people.
In a perfect world, how much is left to be brushed out there?
Well, Ron, there's 400 acres of airport. You'd like to brush all of it every year.
I didn't know there was.
Yeah, we just kind of hack away at it the best that we can. The budget's never going to allow for us to, the best thing to do would be have a 100 horsepower tractor with a 15-foot batwing mower behind it. Airports do. They mow with those machines too. Certainly doesn't look as nice as ours does with the zero turn. But when you're talking about such expansive areas, that'd be great, but it's just not really in the realm of possibility. So the big thing is just keeping our height restrictions, making sure that areas of the airport near the runway aren't too tall. Because there's grants and assurances we have to obey by, the FAA standards on those things, and if there's impediments into those runway surfaces, then it shuts down your approaches, and it's kind of a nightmare. So we do a decent job.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
what do you budget then for brushing every year?
10
30,000, have you said?
10,000.
10,000.
10,000, and we do a decent job. We got really lucky this last year with Beaver because he
Right.
put a really low bid in. This year was the first time we've ever rented our own machine. That worked out really well. I think that was about $1,500 to do everything that we did with M&M machine and John Frank. And I think I'd be inclined to try to do that every year.
Do you own the brusher then, or did you rent the entire unit?
Yes.
Okay. So if you kept up with the brushing, then you could probably do it all with that machine, right? Once you hack out the big stuff?
Yeah, once it starts getting heavy, I mean, a tractor will only take,
Right.
but
But
then,
it takes years to get that size.
yeah, 3 years before you can, before it gets too heavy. Visually at the airport, things that are close to the runway. That's why this year was really nice, because you keep those areas brushed down. It looks a lot nicer instead of being 8 feet tall with, tall grass essentially. I'd be more inclined to try to do all the things that we did this fall in September. I'd be more inclined to try to do it, in June or July or somewhere in there, kind of in the middle of the growing season, because it really looks nice, the work that was done. It makes a difference visually, and there's advantages too, because when it's cut back further away from the runway, when aircraft are coming in, they've got field of vision. We've got a fence, but you never know if there's a deer out there or whatever the situation is. It's the more you can do, and we want the airport to look nice too, and that does matter. We have a lot of people that come in and out, and when you're up above the airport looking down at it, I've gotten lots and lots of positive comments just about the work that we did a couple weeks ago or a month ago. So,
Can you give us an update on the terminal building remodel?
well, we've been talking about it, talking too much about it, kind of going around in circles. We've kind of just, we've done away with the idea of, our dream of doing the whole terminal building all at once, the way that we wanted to. It's just not feasible financially for us to do it. So now we're just at the point of trying to figure out, well, what can we do? We've been talking with Dan Shanahan. He's the building code fellow from the state of Wisconsin, trying to figure out the different types of alterations to the building. I think the biggest concern is just the bathrooms. They're the worst part of the building. They're not handicap accessible at all, but if we go in there and mess with them, at what point in time do we have to bring the rest of the building to code as well? And that's where we're having some of our issues with budgeting for the building. So right now, the plan and hope is the two things that would need to get done is there needs to be if we mess with the bathrooms at all, they have to be ADA compliant. So the running plan right now is 2 unisex bathrooms, one being ADA compliant, which is the women's because it's bigger than the men's. So just making one, and there's all sorts of numbers and rules involved with that. The occupancy of the building isn't great enough to be able to be required to have 2 ADA compliant bathrooms. We only need to have 1. So kind of trying to sort through that. And that's where I'm kind of at right now is take away the closet to the women's restroom, redo the door frames. It's only 32 inches right now. They have to be 36. And delete a toilet. So there's only 1 toilet instead of 2 in the women's. And have it so it's got the spacing requirements for ADA compliance. All while not tearing out all the plumbing underneath the building.
Can you get away with 1 restroom in there?
Well, 1 restroom or two restrooms, it'd be cheaper to keep the 2 than just the 1. I mean, if you're gonna tear out the entire space, you're talking about a complete overhaul. Whereas, just what we've talked about, the most efficient thing, even just pulling the tile is a nightmare. Talking about doing an epoxy flooring over the tile, a commercial grade epoxy flooring over the tile, and the men's wouldn't have to change in the slightest, just new fixtures, wall coverings, dividers. The toilet delete, I guess it's a thing that they do, that's not uncommon to do a toilet delete in a bathroom. And then you'd epoxy over where that toilet was. That's where we're at. And then the only other thing in the building, there's some issues because once you bring it to a certain point, you have to do other code requirements. Well, anytime there's occupancy in the building, the doors are unlocked. And the doors don't have locking mechanisms on them, so we don't have to put special breaker bars on the doors because they're swing open doors. So we don't have to do that as long as the doors are unlocked when the building's occupied. We have to redo the emergency exit lighting system because the new code requires not only emergency exits signs to be battery backup. Well, they have to be battery backup. We're not gonna do a generator. Battery backup, but then they also have to have emergency lighting now too, which there's neither one of those things currently. But there is, for the emergency lighting, there is a separate electrical box for it in the furnace room that'll actually make it relatively easy to put in a new system. We had Carlson Electric was out and gave me a really fair quote from what I could tell about making those 2 exits code compliant when we do the building remodel. Then the rest of it's just, the flooring has to be fire retardant, the furnitures in the building all have to be, of certain materials. That's whatever alteration is level 1 or level 2, all those things come into play with that. So we still don't have final numbers yet with, trying to do that. The dream originally was to cut the bathrooms out completely, redo the reception area and have a different desk in there. And now we've scaled back from that. We still want everything to look nice, but, not, change the layout of the building at all, essentially.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Dennis, any questions for Sarah?
No, I don't. Thank you.
We'll move forward. Thank you.
One other thing I want to mention about the gate. I don't know if we have to talk about that. I was wrong with my report. It wasn't a $5,000 or $10,000 boo-boo. It was almost a $25,000 boo-boo. Our gate is wrecked at the airport. So I know I talked with Mike and Tom about it, turning it over to our property or county property insurance. there was a police report. I talked to the officer about it today. I've never really done this before. Presumably, the individual who did the damage is liable to fix the damages. That's kind of how it works when you break something. But I've been led to believe that in less than 2 weeks, we'll get the gate fixed. Mike Keith gave me the go-ahead to get the gate fixed.
What if this individual doesn't have insurance?
I don't know.
Well, our insurance then goes after their insurance. I mean, there's a process, but the gate does need to be fixed. Our insurance company is aware of it, and I mean, I think it's important to get the gate fixed, and then battle with who's paying for it.
Yeah. Worst part was it was one of my cars that did the damage. He flew in and took one of my cars from my FBO and drove it through the gate. So my insurance is involved with my vehicle damages, but the property damage is different, I think, altogether. But
Just positive, stay with it.
yeah, that'll be fun. Note to self: don't hit the gate at the airport.
They all learn things every day.
Yeah. For future discussion items, there's just a couple of the hangar things that I wanted to talk about. Do we want to talk about that to closed session? Not my hangar things, other people hangar things. It's not on the agenda. I don't know if you want to talk about those things now or later.
We'll touch bases on items for the next one.
Okay.
Mr. Highway Commissioner.
Does anyone have any questions on the commissioner's report?
How many employees are you missing now?
Well, we're still down one. Well, we had some interviews on Tuesday and yesterday, and we had it was actually one employee we interviewed. We are having Rose Lilyroot do a background check and make an offer. We were very impressed with the individual. So we're hoping we move forward with that. That's to fill the vacancy for the shop foreman. And we still have a vacancy for a driver operator. And also we have another employee retiring November 25th. And his intention is to run his vacation out, which will take him, he's got 254 hours on the books. So I've been talking with Rose. We'd like to begin recruitment. I can't go through the winter season, half through the winter without an employee. So we're working towards that too. So that's where we're at right now for employees.
Thank you.
And then two other updates. There are actually, two other updates. We actually paved County Road C today. I believe we'll probably finish up tomorrow, or double C, I should say. And then also, let's see, I had the culvert pipes on double N. Those are scheduled for replacement October 14th and 15th. I've been in touch with SEH. They're going to provide on-site assistance for the setting of those pipes. It'll require a 2-day road closure. The notice for that will go out on the radio, and we make all our notifications. That'll take place next Monday.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Gary, could you let the tribe know about that also, please?
Yes, they'll be notified. Yeah,
Okay.
we've got a quite an extensive list of people that we've compiled over the years, and we have a system set up the highway department. We make a mass notification, and our account clerk will take care of that on Monday.
And is there any movement on the County E bridge? I see where you got the right of way is completed, submitted to this dot. Any work from Cameron or the BIA as far as funding?
Oh, we're all set, as I've said before. We're all set on this. We can't do anything more on the BIA end or the Sawyer County end. Right now, the it's sitting in DOT's lap. That's that TS&E, the plan specifications and estimates. They're reviewing the draft. Once they approve that, that'll be final. At that point, then BIA can proceed with their funding request through the bridge program. So everything's been done. There's nothing more that can be done by Sawyer County or LCO at this point in time.
Great.
Move on to the fund balance report.
Well, fund balance, I mean, it's not as healthy as I'd like it to be, but, you know, we're plugging along. I do have some monies coming back in. I've got 100,000 coming back from our County B project, and we just received $95,000 this week for the County Road H project. So we do have some monies coming in. We have our final GTA payment should be coming in as well.
Anything else stand out that we need to know about here?
No, doesn't look good, but nothing really. I mean, incidental labor is in the hole. That's what we pay out for fringe benefits. So we hope to recover that. A lot of times we do with increased labor towards the winter months. So it's just a wait and see.
Okay. Yes.
I guess I want to bring this up again as far as, you know, the 5th Street deal for the courthouse and California Avenue. We were going to ask Gary to look in, is there anything the highway department could do with assisting with California Avenue to help with that cost? Gary?
That was brought before me a while back, and we're not staffed that we could do it right now, Tweed. We just can't do it. We've got enough of our own work we're hoping to get done even before the snow flies, and I don't think it's going to happen. We've got several projects hanging out there yet.
We talked to the city too, and they're kind of in the same shape. So, I mean, currently the plan is to do it all through contractual, as we had originally discussed.
Started this fall yet though? I mean, is it going to be spring or summer work?
Do we still have that on full session?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some more
Okay.
things to talk about.
And the overtime report, JD said that Teresa will be back and take care of that later.
What happened is and it's in my commission report, we went up and we assisted Bayfield County in 3 culvert pipes on State Highway 63 and 1 on County Road E out of Mason. So Janine actually contacted me today and let me know that we're waiting on certain things for charging out for that. So the report was not available at meeting time.
That's fine. Thank you. We'll move on to letter D, ATV UTV road request. Proposal Sawyer County Public Works.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Were we going to talk about the Highway 2021 budget summary? I see we passed over that in budget discussion
Yes, we will.
later. Okay.
Who wants to handle this? Gary, you want to handle this or?
Okay, well, we received a request for 3 routes. I've been in discussion with Don Morotek for several months over these routes. And actually the 3rd route, County Road S, that's kind of it's town of Spider Lake and Round Lake. They've been working with the DOT. They've got a whole network of trails they want to open up, and County Road S is one of the pieces to the puzzle. I believe they've got buy-in from the DOT. So actually I've reviewed all 3 of these routes and I see no issues with them. All 3 of them have followed our process and they've had approval by the respective town boards. So I have nothing negative to say about them, and I would recommend approval of them.
Thank you. Mr. Merleton, anything that?
Just that the Alliance is requesting them, especially at Highway S. We've been working very strongly with Round Lake and Spider Lake Township on that. That's gonna be a major connector from Moose Lake up to Lake Woods that been working on for 20 years. So I'm very excited to see this happen. There's 5 entities that are involved in it. Spider Lake, Round Lake, County Highway Department on S. We're also looking at DOT approval for 77 and a portion of the Federal Forest Service. They're working on a snowmobile trail, making it an easy trail also. So it's very exciting. We get this all approved through all 5 entities.
Thank you.
Can we approve all 3 together, or we gotta do them separate? Chairman?
Mr. Chairman, I'd prefer they were approved individually, as we have the LOUs are individual.
Thank you for pointing that out. We'll do them individually.
Okay, I'll make a motion then that we approve the County Road S ATV, UTV route request.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Schuman, second by Ms. Dennis, to approve Highway S from Highway 77 to Moose Lake. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next one, Highway B to Highway 70, Fishcraft Road.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Dennis, second by Mr. Sherman to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Third one, Highway M, from Highway M to Highway W, B Road.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Dennis, second by Mr. Sherman to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Anything else you want to add, Gary?
No, does anyone need me to stay on?
I do.
For what reason? I'm actually down in Florida right now. Mr. Hoff, with the raise Administrator Hoff gave me, I'm down in Florida.
You just got back from Alaska too. Anyway,
That was another bonus you're giving me.
You were just
pardon
gone.
me?
Ms. Dennis, go ahead, please.
Okay, quick. I just wanted to thank Gary for all that he's done for Sawyer County. I appreciate that and just wanted you to know, since this will be my last meeting. Also to Don Rotek and maintenance, Kim. Thank you all.
Love you too, Helen.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Dennis.
I would say it's been a pleasure, but.
And it has.
Tweet, did you have any other comments for Gary on budget?
Gary, yeah, your budget.
I talked with Administrator Hoff, and apparently everything has pretty much stayed the same. There is one thing that I would like to mention, and Tom's aware of this, and so is Mike Keefe, and that is in the 2021 budget, I had projected a $45,000 increase in general transportation aids. Unfortunately, DOT had it has nothing to do with our numbers. I know a few years back, some people on the committee may remember we had a incorrect number in our formula. That's not the case. The DOTs changed their formula slightly. A lot of counties went down from their 2020 general transportation aids. So what happened is I put in 45. We actually went down about $3,400 from last year. So I talked to Mike Keefe and Tom, I don't know if you aren't privy to this unless Mike shared it with you, but apparently there was an additional $30,000 that had gone in the highway department budget.
Right.
So we took about a $15,000 hit on the reduction. So, I mean, could have been a lot worse.
Thank you, Gary. Is there any reason Gary has to stay on? I can't think of any, Gary. Thank you for.
No, don't do a sunburn.
Okay, well, Hurricane Delta's coming day after tomorrow, so I think I'll be okay for that.
Have a good time.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Number 9, maintenance report. If anything stands out we need to know about.
Not that I'm aware of, unless you have any questions on the report at all.
How are you gonna handle the snow removal down at, Jibble? You have a pickup down there, or you have to run down there every time?
No, at the tail end of being down in winter, because I happen to keep the ambulance entrance open 24/7, they had started using, and I just lost the name, but they were using a contractor down in winter. So he's also going to be last year before they put the asphalt in, he was taking care of the snow down there in Ojibwa. We hit it a couple times, but otherwise they do have a contractor. So Nate didn't want his staff plowing. He wants them just focused on ambulance and not anything on clearance. So
Do we have to snowplow anything in winter?
no, and yeah, so I think winterize we're sitting pretty good. We still have a couple pieces of equipment. I talked with Derek this morning. I still haven't serviced the airport snowblower this year because instead of it being parked up here at our building this summer, it was parked out at the airport and a robin made a nest in the chute. A couple robins, so I'm trying to hold off. Let the robins leave it. I know I was a logger before, probably killed a lot of animals logging. I thought must be getting soft in my older age, so I thought I'm gonna try to let them head south first before I.
That's the best excuse I've ever heard in my
Rip them in
life.
south. But otherwise, we're sitting pretty good for winter.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question for Tim. Tim, what are your thoughts when that building kind of sits all by itself over there, the Veterans Service Building? And we had some issues with that before with the smell or something in there, and then we have to heat it, air conditioning, and there's no security in there.
We can probably do that in closed session too.
Oh. I just want to hear his thoughts. Sure. Okay.
Right.
Damn.
Ms. Dennis, any more questions for Tim?
I can't hear you. Too rowdy.
Do you have any more questions for Mr. Finhager?
No, I don't. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Ellen.
Number 10, future agenda item. I have more information about the report regarding.
Well, I don't know. I was just talking with Cliff out in the hallway trying to figure out, we have one thing that came up is a propane tank easement request for a hangar owner who wants to heat and insulate his hangar at the airport. I don't have copies of every single hangar of these out there. I haven't read all of them. I kind of just get them as needed. I know that some hangars have easements for propane tanks, but
Just a minute. We're just talking about items for the agenda next month. We're not going to get into any of that because it's not on the agenda to get into. Okay.
so just two things for the agenda for next month is discussion on propane tank easement and then possible discussion on hangar use or lack thereof in a specific hangar at the airport. Okay.
Thank you.
And then I would like to keep highway on as a future agenda item if we work on California Avenue next year, where we might have some time help.
So,
I think that could save the town some money. Just a future agenda item.
thank you. Any other matters of discussion only? Hearing none, we'll go into closed session. Pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85E, for the purpose of deliberating and negotiating exchange of public property and other public business related to Sawyer County program public works projects, the purchase of a hangar at Sawyer County Airport, cell tower lease negotiations, and utility easement
Motion.
Thank you very much.
You're done.
We're done.
I'll second the motion. Motion by Mr. Schuman, second by Mr. Kensley. To go into closed session. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.